Washington recently deported Indian nationals who were living in the United States illegally. The Department of Homeland Security said a chartered plane carrying the immigrants left.
If you are planning to go to the US for your MS in US, I was once just like you. I went for my master's in the US back in 2019, had quite some issues, and saw quite some things that you guys probably can't even imagine. And ever since then, I have been taking one on one meetings with you guys, and I know what kind of issues you've been facing, not only in 2019, till now in 2024, moving into 2025. Now, when I was recently taking on a session with a client, and actually I've seen this trend come up in the last couple of months, many students come up to me and they say, Yash, and this did not used to happen 5 years back, but Yash, today what's going on is that we worked an illegal job over there. We took some cash, we put a check in our account, and now there's a track of that. See, the way it works is as follows. Parents, students, listen to me, it's important. You go to the US, you don't have the money to pay for the degree many times, all right? And what you do at this point is that you start going ahead and finding alternatives to make some money. Of course, for the first year, you're allowed to work on campus because you don't have CPT. That means during the first year, you have to find an on campus job. And many times, you guys reach the campus late, there's just no jobs available, you start too late, and you just don't have the money to afford even your living expenses in many cases. And this is where it really starts to sort of throb at me is when an Indian student finds that okay, this person is from the Indian community. Let's say Pakistani student finds that okay, this Pakistani person has a business in the US, right? Some other community, any community essentially, Nepal, Bangladesh, China, anything. You find that this person is from my own community. I believe I can trust them. This is from the same nationality. I'm gonna go work for them. And they say, you know what, you can work over here. You don't really need to tell anyone. We'll pay you in cash and you can basically use the money for your living expenses. And sometimes you might meet good people who generally are doing good things for you over here. But listen to me, what happens in future is not going to be in your favor. Because what happens is that whenever you start working these illegal jobs, money comes into your account. Maybe they give you cash, you put it into your account, you start using it. Something happens and you think that, okay, I'm going to use this money. I'm going to take care of my living expenses. I have more than this money saved. Sometimes I may be able to pay for my tuition as well sometimes. Now, that is the problem right there. When you essentially start going down this road, you, my friend, might be lucky at first. Sometimes nothing might happen. You might make some money. But other times, what happens is that you sort of spiral down from a pathway that you walked into initially. You wanted to come to the US to study, but what are you doing now? You're not studying, that's for sure. You're working a small time job. And on top of that, you're now dependent on this job simply because you now have expenses. Now you have responsibilities. You're used to that money coming in. If that money stops coming in, your mind sort of starts thinking that I don't have this money. This used to come in. Last month I had that money. Last week I had this money. Maybe I should do a little bit of overtime. Maybe I should do a bit of Uber. Maybe I should work in a restaurant. You start working. Now, this is the unspoken reality. This starts from here. When you start doing this, my friend, what happens is that people start taking advantage of you. Now, let me give you an example. People from your own community, you think that they're going to help you. You go work in their restaurant. Everything's great. Next thing you know is you broke a glass. I'm telling you a story of a real person over here. He broke a glass. That's all, which is fine, right? I mean, it can happen. The glass just slipped out of his hands. He was cleaning a table. And what happened was the employer, same nationality, same country where he belongs from, essentially, this guy, he screamed at him. He yelled at him in such a bad manner that, I mean, if this guy's parents saw it, they would be ashamed. That we ourselves have never screamed at our child in that way. It was almost horrendous. This person is screaming at the top of his voice. Did he deserve that for just a glass? No. Does this student take that? Yes, he has to. You know why? Because he's given the key of his house to this restaurant owner. How has he done that? If the restaurant owner decides to not pay the student tomorrow, fire him, and he just keeps on delaying his payments, maybe pays him once in 2 months, the student can't do anything. Secondly, the student is probably not being paid the minimum wage. He's being paid half the minimum wage. You should be earning $15, $20. You're being paid $7, $10 per hour. On top of that, the student is also bearing the abusive language, abuses that this person is basically giving the student simply because of money. There's scams like this in Uber. You start doing that, you will see that over there. There's scams like this in housing. Sometimes you start paying a deposit of a house if the house doesn't exist. But there's all kinds of these scams where people will try to rob you of your money And you know what the worst thing is? This is the point number three. If nothing happens, let's say you're lucky, you start going to the off-campus job, you work over there in a restaurant. Owner is very nice, no problem whatsoever. Now what happens is that your roommates are there. You're sharing the room with probably five people. They see a pattern. Every day this guy is not here from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., something like that, 6 p.m. to maybe 12 a.m. He's just not there for 6 7 hours. He's just gone. What is this guy doing? And maybe you trust someone and you tell them. What happens is students get jealous. They see it, and maybe one day you're having a bad day, you're having a fight with your roommate goes ahead and reports you to the USCIS. It's literally as simple. USCIS literally has a form on their website where anyone can report anyone. But this person, you know what, this person has their YouTube channel. You know what, this person is working over there illegally. You know what, this is that's happening with this person. You can verify this. So at the end of the day, if this kind of an operation happens, what really awaits you is more or less only a couple of options. Number one, you could be deported. This means that all of the money you paid to the university, all of the money your parents put up, all of the loan that you took up, it goes back to your parents. Now your parents not only have to take off the loan that you took, but you also don't get a degree. You cannot enter the US. Sometimes there's a visa ban. All these kinds of issues happen. You may be subject to penalties, bans. Your visa might be revoked in certain cases. Now, I'm not giving you this piece of advice because I want to deter you from going for a master's in the US. No, I personally love the concept of master's in the US, PhD, master's, bachelor's, whatever you're going to do. I'm always supportive in your journey. If you ever face any issues, you can reach out to me. But the point of this video is not to deter you, my friend. It is because I feel like you guys are my family. I know that these things happen, and honestly, it felt so heart throbbing for me to read about that when my friend told about even that incident where he was being yelled at. And now there's another issue. I want to talk to you about that as well. Not only was he yelled at and all these things, I mean, those are small things in a grand scheme of things. Sometimes these people are violent with you. Sometimes they make you do all kinds of work that you don't want to do. You're cleaning toilets, you're doing things that you just couldn't imagine doing in your own country. But on top of that, now my friend is very scared because he's gotten a legitimate job, gotten through the H1B, and now he's applying for a green card. Imagine this, applying for a green card, everything that he's ever done is going in. That means right now he's scared. He's shit scared out of his mind as to whether he will be able to get it or whether they will actually find out about him that he had been working an illegal job. So that's my consensus as well. When you're a legal student, don't move towards being an illegal student just for a little bit of money. How much money are you going to save, my friend? Maybe 5, 10, $15,000, which, by the way, is a very small amount of money in the long run. When you basically start working a job, you will realize this money can be your 1 month's salary. See, the thing is, if there is scrutiny on your case tomorrow and the USCIS or the US government decides to invest the time, effort, and money to basically put into building a case against you, they will build a damn strong case that you cannot escape out of. On top of that, many times students stay out late at night working these odd jobs, and there's a lot of safety issues that you need to know about the US. Now, we have homeless people in our countries as well, and most of you guys watching this in Asia, homeless people are not that dangerous. They will come up to your car, they'll knock your door a little bit, or they'll ask you for money, and you can just, push them aside. You can say, no, I don't want to pay you any money, and they'll go away after a couple times. You tell them, but at the end of the day in the US, that's not like that. Homeless people are aggressive. They will mug you, they will hurt you, especially late at night. If you don't have the money, they will scare you, they'll run after you. They will basically take any money that you have in your pockets, essentially. If they catch you, they can be all kinds of issues, essentially. And there have even been death issues. Even students, international students studying in the US, have died at the hands of some of these homeless people who are so aggressive sometimes just for a little bit of money. These kinds of things happen. And then you ask the question, what was the student doing here? It's very difficult for people to answer because the student was doing an illegal job. They were not allowed to be there, essentially, out of that campus, working over there, that job at 11 p.m. in the night, but they were working simply because they wanted to make maybe $50 extra that day. Not only that, all of this, whatever you're doing, my friend, this also affects your academics, your assignments, your class attendance. There's all kinds of checks, plagiarism checks, AI checks. You have to do a lot of things by yourself, and you cannot just copy the work of others. Unlike, in certain other countries, everything needs to be done by you. And of course, if you're basically working a job, you start losing focus from what you really came to the US for, which was your education. and your grades start going down, which means that later on when you go for legitimate jobs in your particular field, you start seeing issues over there. People are not willing to hire you. You don't have good grades, you don't have good projects, you don't have good networks, simply because you were cleaning dishes half the semester essentially at night, 11 p.m., when you should have been studying for tests. Remember, there's all kinds of other things. Now you're independent. You have to wash your own clothes, make your own dinner. You have to clean your dishes, clean your apartment, go ahead, buy groceries, do part time jobs, on campus part time jobs, which are, by the way, legal ones. So remember, all this information that I'm giving you is not to deter you from going to the US, but I'm telling you all of this as a brother, as a friend, that these issues should not be the ones that you fall prey to. Remember, if you go ahead, and I want you to get this, I want you to have this, you go ahead and sign up on YMGrad.com. You can actually see other people on the admits and rejects page, where you can actually connect with the people who have gotten into some of the top schools. Let's say that you got into Northeastern, and you can go ahead, search for Northeastern on the decisions page. You find out all the people who have gotten in there, and you start messaging them. You start messaging these people, and you'll see that not everyone, but many of them will reply to you. And once they reply to you, right, at that stage, you start discussing with them about these issues and what really happens at that university. I feel it is so important you talk to someone from your particular university before you go over there. So make sure that you do this. Do yourself a favor, just create an account, start doing this. It's absolutely free. We provide this facility to you for free because we know that this is very important. And I feel, I really wish, honestly wish, if I had this sort of an unmoderated environment where I could at least just talk to some people from that university before I went in. I did not have that. And that's one of the reasons why we give it away for free. This is one of the free functionalities on the website. Baki, I truly hope that you guys take this video seriously. It's honestly, I did not have to make this. People usually get upset when I make videos like this in many cases, but I feel that you need to know. I feel that it's my responsibility when I have you guys in my audience, that you should have this knowledge. And of course, make sure that you reach out to me if you have any questions whatsoever. Anytime, I'm available, Instagram, WhatsApp, whatever you need. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.